I closed $500,000 without a single sales call, without a single cold email, and without a single referral. I did this through building up trust with someone in a sell by chat conversation. So this could be something like the LinkedIn DMs, or this could be just texting back and forth on WhatsApp. That's all I did. I closed $500,000 without even meeting them face to face. I also booked 220 plus meetings with people without ever meeting them face to face, entirely on sell by chat. And today I want to run you through exactly how I did that, the exact templates, the exact scripts that I use, the exact psychology that I use, like what am I thinking in each sell by chat conversation, and how I moved this person from being a stranger all the way to a trusted advisor. And so I have to start with the psychological side, because the thing is, if you don't understand the theory, you won't be able to execute on it. So I had to start with giving you a high-level overview of why sell by chat is so effective and how you're able to compress the trust that you build up with someone into such a short period of time. So very quickly, they can become an advocate of you, moving from a stranger all the way to an advocate. So they actually trust you. They believe in you. They know that you can deliver a good service. So what does this actually look like in practical words? Well, sell by chat is a modern high-ticket outbound approach that uses chat-based messaging, primarily on LinkedIn, to move prospects from a stranger to a trusted advisor using relationship building and value-based conversations. That is what sell by chat is. And if you're scared about going on a sales call, if you're scared about trying to kind of being on that call with that person and having to try and sell them, this is for you, because you're able to talk to someone just texting back and forth like you're messaging a friend. And that is why I love it, and it is so much easier. So what are you trying to do in a sell by chat conversation? In a sell by chat conversation, you're trying to move a prospect through the 6 gates of trust. So the first gate that they will be asking as you start the conversation, they'll be thinking in their head, okay, is this service even real? Like, is what you do even real? Like the outcome that you say that you help them with, can you actually deliver on it? They're thinking this right now. So gate 1 is credibility. Is this even real? They want to establish your authority and your legitimacy, and whether you have the case studies, the social proof to back that up. Gate 2 that you want to move them through is relevance. Is this actually for me? Does this actually work for me? And does it align with my needs and what I'm actually looking for? And this is where you've got to prove that your solution is the bridge from where they are now to where they want to get to. Gate 3 is fit. Do you understand my nuance? Now, every single prospect, they believe that their situation is unique. They think, okay, I'm in this situation. No one else has ever been in this situation before. And so you have to prove that your solution is unique to them, and that it's something that they're actually looking for. Gate 4 is risk-free. Does making this purchasing decision put me at risk of losing my money and not getting the desired outcome, which is being promised? Through your service or product, you have to alleviate this fear. You have to prove to them that that won't happen. That is why gate 4 is quite far within the gates, because they'll get to a point when they go, okay, do I actually want to make this purchase? Is it a risk to me? So you have to prove to them that it isn't. Gate 5 is inertia. Is the reward worth the hassle? If I pay this person a lot of money, will they actually deliver? And is there this risk that is worth taking? So you have to prove, if they pay you for your service or your product, they won't lose all their money and they'll get the value that you are delivering back. That's what they're looking for. Gate 6 is identity. Does this align with who I am? Because you know when you meet someone and there's a commonality between you two. So for example, if I meet someone who's also in sales, so I used to be in sales, instantly there's a build of trust. There's this bridge between your relationship with them, because you have this common ground. You have this kind of thing that they can resonate with and that you've both experienced. And that is all comes down to your identity. So if you can match them in terms of your identity matching with their identity, that is another way to move them to the final gate, which is gate 6. They understand that you are someone that they want to work with. That is the final gate. Once they move through that, they either book a meeting or they close and they hand over the money. These are the 6 gates you're trying to move them through. In a sell by chat conversation, you can move them through these gates very quickly. And how you do that is through trust compression. So if I look at trust compression, it's essentially, you know, when you meet someone for the first time and you're kind of unsure, you're like, okay, do I actually like you? Are you someone that I actually want to spend time with? Trust compression is moving them from being a stranger to a trusted advisor in a much shorter period of time. And there are a few things you have to do in order to compress the trust into a shorter time frame. So number one is high frequency of touch points. So spend time with them, message them back and forth. Whether that's every day, whether that's every a couple of days each week, whether that's once a week, whatever it is, you have frequency in the time that you are actually spending with them. And so that you are giving these touch points where they are kind of interacting with you on a regular basis. And that is one of the fastest ways to build up trust, because they get used to talking with you, they get used to your kind of language, your personality, and so it's familiar to them. And that's the point that you want to get them to. The next is high value per interaction. So you may have seen, you may have had conversations on LinkedIn, and they may be giving you little pockets of value. And what this is called a lead magnet. So if you can give someone a lead magnet, which for example could be DM templates I use to close $500,000 in 11 months, that could be a lead magnet. And so someone is opting in to get the value, and then they're able to implement that value themselves into their business. A lead magnet should reveal a problem, solve that problem, but reveal another problem. And so naturally, as someone goes through your lead magnet, it introduces your main offer. That's what you want a lead magnet to do. So throughout the conversation, if you can just sprinkle little pockets of value, little lead magnets throughout the conversation, that is a very quick and easy way to build up trust with them really, really quickly. The final one is speed and responsiveness. Now, you may have heard of the term speed to lead. The faster you can get back to a prospect, the faster they're more likely to book a meeting, and the faster they're more likely to close. And so speed is so important. And how I'd make sure that you can have this speed, the best way to have this speed is by having notifications on. So if you have LinkedIn, turn on your notifications so that you know the second a prospect replies in LinkedIn or on WhatsApp as well, you can reply to them. Because it's really easy. You know, like when you have to hop on a call with someone, you got to get prepared, you got to get Zoom up, you got to start the conversation, you got to let them into the room. There's a lot of processes. Whereas with WhatsApp or with the LinkedIn DMs, you can just pick up your phone and message them back. So it's really, really easy. You can do this while watching Netflix. That's how easy it is. To give you a real world example of how I applied trust compression and moving someone through the 6 gates of trust, I closed $18,000 in 3 days. And that was all through Sell by Chat. I never met them in person. And so this is a clear illustration of trust compression happening within a Sell by Chat sequence. They entered on day one, and 72 hours later, they closed and paid $18,000. But in order to do that, I had to move them through the gates in a very set way to make sure that that trust was compressed. And that by the time I went for the ask and going, hey, is this something you actually need help with? And then eventually kind of bridging my solution as the answer to their problem, they had already gone through the 6 gates. And so when I went for the ask, they went, yeah, makes sense. And they paid $18,000 over a Stripe link. That is how quickly you can do this. You can do that in 3 days. Now, one of my favorite quotes is from Alex Mosey, which is basically, the less a prospect pays, the more problems they cause. And it is so true. If you can find high quality leads and spend time with them, compress the trust into a short period of time, they're more likely to pay you more and be less hassle. And that's what you're looking for. So that is why this was such a good example of trust compression happening in such a short period of time. To give you a time frame of when this kind of happens, it takes 45 to 6 days from the initial contact, so the first time you send someone a DM, for them to enter into the trust window where they're ready to buy. So that's typically, based on the data that we've pulled, it's 45 to 60 days from that initial contact to actually closing. Now, the reason that that one was so fast was because of that trust compression. So if you didn't kind of move someone through those different kind of trust gates, then it would take 45 to 60 days from that first contact to them closing, which is still fast. It's still a kind of, it's not a long period of time. And if you compare that to corporate, it's very, very short. But if you want to consistently close people every single week through DMs, then you have to integrate trust compression into your process so that you know that each week you can guarantee that you'll get at least 1 to 2 closes. That's why trust compression is so powerful, because you can predict it. That's why so many people spend a lot of time on the psychology and actually understanding how they can implement it themselves. The other key principle that I kind of want to run you through is LinkedIn, especially if that's for the platform that you're going to use, and I would recommend that. WhatsApp tends to come later in the process. So once you've kind of had a conversation with them in LinkedIn and they're kind of at that point where they want to book a meeting, then you can transfer it to WhatsApp. The reason you transfer it to WhatsApp is it's more personal. It's more one-to-one. You know, when you're at a party and it's really noisy and you see a friend who you haven't seen in a while and you say, hey, look, let's go chat outside. and you go outside, it's cold, but it's much quieter, and you can just properly catch up and really talk to each other because there isn't loud music in the background. That's what switching channel to WhatsApp is like. It is that ability to have a more one-to-one contact. So once you've booked them in LinkedIn, I would highly recommend changing the channel. Now for you, that might be going onto a sales call with them. That's absolutely fine. That is what most companies do. If you are someone who's nervous about going on sales calls, you want to find a different way of doing it and still want to be able to close someone for a high amount, then stick with sell by chat, but change the channel to WhatsApp. The other principle is LinkedIn is your 24/7 networking event. It is not a platform. It is literally you, your identity, your personality, your experience projected into an online space. And so, when you go to a networking event and you meet someone, you go, hey, this is what I do. This is how long I've been doing it for, blah, blah, blah. These are all the questions that you tend to ask. LinkedIn is you in that environment. And so you have to treat it in that way. And when you go to a networking event, you're going to be talking to people. You're going to be like, oh, hey, what do you do? What do you do? And you're going to go around, you're going to meet each individual person. Do that online through LinkedIn. Send them a connection request. And I'll go through kind of the approach that you want for connection requests, but it's so easy. You can do this while watching Netflix. You can do this while on the sofa. It is the easiest thing to get in front of people and book meetings with them and eventually close them. The biggest mistake that people make in the DMs is they don't make it feel natural. They are so rigid in the messages that they send that it sounds like you're sending an email. So you send the body of the text and you say cheers and then your name at the bottom, or thank you, your name at the bottom. LinkedIn is an email. It should feel like you're messaging a friend. That is the most important thing. And so it should just feel natural. You should have a flow in the conversation. It should be what it would be like in a networking event when you're talking to someone in real life, but just in the DMs. That's what it should be like. We've all received a message on LinkedIn and it's like a mass paragraph and it has like their services, what they can do, and then most likely at the bottom they have a link to book a meeting. You wouldn't go up to someone in a networking event and pitch them immediately. You wouldn't. You'd spend time with them, you get to know them, you want to know a bit more about what they do as well. That's what you would do. So that has to translate onto LinkedIn as well. That's what you have to do. Avoid the corporate tone. Don't be that person who sends DMs which sound like a corporate email, because guess what? No one's going to reply to you. That is the worst thing. And it sucks when you send about 100 messages and you think, oh my God, I'm going to get so many responses, and then you get none. Because what you sent sounds like you're in a corporate role and you sent them an email and it's all tiptoey with this kind of language which you just wouldn't use when you're talking to a friend. Keep it chill. Something that I've learned myself from my experience in Sell by Chat, less is more. The message that you send should be so short and should be so concise and to the point that it's just like when you're messaging a friend, you're just going to tell them the facts. You're not going to send them all this fluff. Remove the fluff and you will get more responses. That is the psychology behind Sell by Chat. I wanted to just do a quick, short, sharp episode on what it looks like, how you can apply, and why you should be applying Sell by Chat, especially if sales calls make you a bit nervous and you're not really sure about it, you haven't really mastered it yet. Sell by Chat may be the thing for you because you don't have to meet them face to face, you just text them. And as I've already proved, you can still close very high ticket deals just using Sell by Chat. In the next episode, I will go through how to open the conversation with someone and how to actually get your foot in the door with them, have a conversation with them, and give you the leverage to go on to book a meeting. So I'll go through the colder approach. So if they're cold DM, then how to actually start the conversation. And then there's also the 1% warmer approach. So someone who showed an intent. So I'll show you how to open the conversation with them as well. That's what we're going to do in the next episode. I'm super excited for it. And I hope you learn a bit more about Sell by Chat and will be able to apply these principles even now.